All right, welcome everyone. I did not feel like listening through the entire intro song today. Instead, I felt like getting right into some One Piece. So, welcome everyone. We're here for One Piece chapter 1145. I have not heard that much about this chapter, which I tend to get a lot of spoiler warnings about. Hey, this one's really peak. You might want to be extra careful. I didn't get any of those, but I'm not going to let that deter my opinion. We're going to go ahead and just get into it pretty shortly here. Cliff is already barking out of excitement, so this chapter is probably going to be fire if Cliff is running around the upstairs. Actually, my two dogs... Hey, come here, buddy. My two dogs, one of them is kind of a picky eater, and he doesn't like eating, like in the morning, like it's like 50-50 if he'll want to eat breakfast or not. And but what the problem is, Cliff, the other dog, he will eat everything in sight, right? He'll eat both bowls of food if he's able. And so I tried feeding my dogs earlier, and one didn't want to eat, so I basically had to separate them so that Cliff didn't eat all the food. So Cliff's running around up here because he's not with his brother, and it's throwing him off. But he'll be all right. He'll be all right. Real quick, I want to say a major thank you to XL Beanboy, one of the goats, one of the all-time goats in the chat here, gifting 5 memberships. I appreciate you. Welcome everyone to the Afro Gang. W's in the chat for Beanboy. Beanboy's gotten a lot of W's over the years, so but he still definitely deserves it. Vex, you said Cliff said it's peak. Cliff did say that, and Cliff knows. Believe me, Cliff knows. He but then again, maybe he doesn't, because he also thinks the old chicken wings and donuts that he finds on the sidewalk at the park are also peak, and they're definitely not peak. So we'll see. Cliff's got mixed opinions on things, but real quick. I also have mixed opinions on something here. Kush Daddy, with the $2 super chat, said Wild Canyon or Pumpkin Hill, which Knuckles rap? And the reason I have mixed opinions on this is that they're both peak, and it's kind of hard for me to choose. Whenever you asked this question, I saw it before the stream, and immediately I thought Pumpkin Hill, because that's maybe my second favorite Sonic song, because City Escape, the very first song, that one is like my all-time favorite Sonic song. It's not even that close. But Pumpkin Hill, off the top of my head, was one of my favorites. But Wild Canyon, don't sleep on Wild Canyon. That's all I gotta say. Do not sleep on it. Fantastic song. They're both pretty similar in that they're, raps for Knuckles, obviously. They're kind of similar style. But Pumpkin Hill. I'm going Pumpkin Hill. That one's just so iconic for me. I remember that level so well. And Knuckles is probably my favorite Sonic character. So all things considered, great picks there, Kush Daddy, for sure. Like, fantastic. Also see a lot of goats in the chat here today. Knack, Vex, Dow, Kuya, Birch. I see Birch saying Gunko for Nakama. Birch, I guess I gotta read this chapter first to see, but if the video that I want to do, I can still do, you're gonna have a cameo in the next video. I'll say that much. I see Dexter in the chat. Also, Knack reacts with the 10 gifted memberships. Knack, thank you. We haven't even hit your 100 like bounty yet, which I don't even know if you brought it up, but I know that's usually what you do. So I appreciate you, Knack. Thank you so much. Welcome everyone to the Afro Gang. By the way, anyone who's wondering where the next TCG giveaway is, because I said that was supposed to be soon after the Royal Blood release. Well, my local card store barely got any Royal Blood. I did order a box, though, and it's being shipped, so it should be here soon. So as soon as that gets here, I'm going to do the next giveaway. So if you signed up for the giveaway, or technically if you became a member and live in the US or Canada, you can still go to the community tab and go find the post and sign up. But yeah, so that should be sometime next week. I think we're on a break week. I guess I don't officially know, but I think we've had 3 in a row. But it'll be next week regardless, assuming the box comes on time. And also, the next TCG set comes out next month, and it's called, like, the Anime 25th Anniversary set, or something like that. That's the theme of it. It's like a memorial set, which, like, the last memorial set had Laboon in it, which was a big deal. But then, this one, I'm not really sure what cards are in it, but it's like an Anime Anniversary set, and there's supposed to be a lot of really cool ones, and, I'm going to pre-order 3 boxes of that right after the stream, actually. They said they have like 30 something still available. It's 3 per person, so I'm gonna go pre-order 3 of them, so we have those at least. So yeah, if you're into that, there's a little update there, just FYI. I'm gonna get through a couple more super chats real quick, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get started. But I think I got, oh yeah, I got 5 memberships to gift myself. Thank you, YouTube, for the free the free memberships to give away. I'm really glad you do this because it's not like it costs anyone just to, you know, turn on the membership for some people. So I appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. We already got like 20 new members this stream. I haven't even opened the chapter yet. So I appreciate you. Terrible TJ with the $2 said, like the stream. TJ, I appreciate you, man. You've been around since literally day one supporting the channel. And I'm really glad to see you back consistently because I know you've been you were MIA there for a little bit. I don't know if our schedules just didn't align or whatever, but you've been back, and it's good to see you. I really appreciate that, dude. Thank you. Quanidin with the $5 super chat. Great chapter, 8.5 out of 10. All right. What did you give last week? I think you gave I don't know if it was last week or the chapter before, but I think it was above an 8.5. So now I'm wondering if this chapter is a little bit slow, but we'll see. I'm not, I mean, we got a One Piece chapter. It's going to be good no matter what. But you said, have you watched Solo Leveling? I have not. I have heard great things. Is it a good time for me to get into it? Because, like, I mean, if it's a good series, I guess it's always a good time. But is it like at a peak point of an arc or something? Is this like a good moment for me to get into it and maybe stream it or something like that? You know, I don't want to spoil anyone too much, even though I know the series is over, but like in JJK, when I started doing a few JJK videos on the other channel, there was a massive situation going on at that time, and that's why, you know, I was really into it and wanted to do some videos on it. So if we're at a good point in Solo Leveling, that might be a good thing for me to do as well. Dexter, you said season 2 just ended. Brandino, second season just ended. All right, well, maybe it's time then. Maybe now is a good time. Or maybe, I mean, I'm sure they're going to do a season 3. Do we know when that's coming out? Maybe I could do it a little bit, maybe like leading up to that. I don't know. We'll talk about it. I'm down to do that though, for sure. Knack Reacts, member for 10 months. Now, this week was a viewership bounty. Woo, Knack. Switching it up. All right. Let's see. Well, we did pass 100 viewers, so I don't know if that was maybe what you were talking about. But shout out to the 100+ people here. We are going to get into the chapter shortly. Sorry, I'm taking forever. You guys are throwing the donations, and I really appreciate it. And I want to get to these, you know, ASAP. So Knack, I appreciate you. You're always donating hella during the streams here. Let's see here. I just lost. Firefox is already messing up. As you guys know, sometimes Firefox likes to slow down. There we go. Plant Demon with the $2. Do you think Luffy could beat Invincible? So I'm not gonna lie. I'm not exactly sure who that is. I'm gonna look it up real quick. I am not into a lot of other media, unfortunately. I think it looks like he's a comic guy. Oh, he's in the new Amazon series, it looks like. Invincible is the son of Omni-Man. Okay, now that's someone I've definitely heard of. See, now I'm learning about a bunch of stuff here. I like this. In the Invincible universe. Well, I'm going to go... I don't know enough, but I'm going to go ahead and say the thing that Oda has done with Luffy, or with a lot of characters in One Piece, is that whenever you awaken, you can affect other people. And so the thing that I always find funny about these discussions is, like, if somebody from another universe has special powers, or like they're invincible or whatever, well, Luffy can just turn them to rubber, and then it all changes. You know what I mean? So so I'm gonna go Luffy, although I definitely don't know enough to actually answer the question. But Luffy's so broken. I mean, what am I supposed to say? I mean, if you turn me to rubber, I'm probably cooked. You know. Eric J.O. with the $2 super chat. Supdak, found you through Psy and enjoy your content. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate you. That's awesome you found me through Psy. I love Psy, and I don't know when this is gonna release, but I am doing something with Psy that isn't on my channel. It's something that he's doing, so I should be on Psy's channel, one of his many channels on the Psy network. I should be appearing there soon. So I appreciate you, Eric. You got some stuff to look forward to. I will also ask Psy if he's able to join me on Redacted again. I don't like asking him that much because I know he does his own stuff, and then he also talks to Par every week, and I don't want to overload him. But I'll talk to him about this week as well. But I know I'll be on his channel, so you have that to look forward to. So appreciate you, Eric. That really means a lot. Thank you. And then Lonely Mage with the 5 gifted memberships. Lonely Mage, dude, thank you. Every single week, man, you're coming in with the donations. I can barely talk. Thank you so much, dude. Seriously. Everyone, welcome to the Afro Gang. We got 25 new Afro wearers this week alone. Lonely Mage, W's in the chat for Lonely Mage, please. Well deserved. Mr. Bushido, you should watch Kaiju number 8. Oh, wait. Well, you know, I've said this before, but I owe my friend, my IRL friend, a watching or a reading of Berserk. And I have started reading the thing that I need to read before Berserk. I'm finally getting through it. I'm finally digesting some new content. So yeah, maybe I'll put that on the list as well. I think it'd be kind of fun to go on Twitch and just watch some anime stuff, because I always think about that, like, you know, if I'm gonna watch it anyway, why don't I just watch it with you guys? I mean, like, what difference does it make? I mean, I guess, you know, I can go, like, become one with my couch and you know, and really just fall asleep at any moment. That's kind of the advantage to not watching it with you guys. But that's also a disadvantage, because then I'm gonna fall asleep and have to rewatch it. You know, I might as well just, if I'm gonna pay attention, I should just do it with you. So maybe we will. Maybe that's on the docket. Knack Reacts, Canadian 279 again. Money burning a hole in my pocket, I suppose, bro. Thank you so much for the donations, Knack. I hope you don't have anything in the stock market. I'm sure you guys have followed that news recently. I hope you pulled as much out as you possibly could, Knack. But thank you nonetheless for the donations, bro. Seriously, that means a lot. And John Stoops with the $2 super chat. Wolves Nuggets gave me a damn heart attack. Game of the year, dude. Such a good game, right? I think it was like 2 or 3 nights ago, right? The double OT Russell Westbrook game. Such a good game. And also the Wolves were like missing a bunch of their guys, right? I think the Nuggets were missing a couple of guys as well, but the Wolves had like people under suspension still, I think. But it's crazy how the Wolves are like the kryptonite for the Nuggets. Like that, the Nuggets just can't beat the Wolves. Like the Nuggets can beat probably like 90% of the teams that they could theoretically play in the West, but I don't think they have a chance against the Nuggets. For whatever reason, they can't do it. All right, I'm gonna read these last 2, and then we're gonna get into the actual chapter. But I appreciate you guys. If you guys send any more, we'll get to them right after I read it. But I do want to get to it. Ben Assay with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you being here, Ben. Good morning, Dak. This chapter is awesome. Watching you while shopping at Walmart. Hey, dude, I appreciate that. Let's see. Friday afternoon. I feel like that's going to be a pretty busy time at Walmart. So hopefully you get everything you need and the lines aren't extremely long like they are every time I go there. They like don't have the self-checkout open at my Walmart anymore, and I think they're like super understaffed, and every time I go I'm in line for like 30 minutes, I feel like, trying to check out. Maybe that's just my Walmart, but that's amazing. And I was actually just there looking for I know they released some One Piece TCG boxes. They're the illustration boxes, and they're sold at Walmart and Target, I think. So maybe go check the card section while you're there. But either way, I appreciate you, Ben. We're gonna get into the chapter here in just a second. Last super chat before I get started. Ever watched the Naked Gun movies? New one looks good. I have never watched those. I'm not even really sure I know what they... Oh, dude, I looked it up and I immediately remember like the image, like the cover art for this, the poster art, whatever it's called. I totally remember that now. That came out when I was a youngin'. Well, some of them, I guess there's several movies, but no, I've actually never seen those. Maybe I should peep those as well. I got a lot to watch. I've only been to the movies once since Film Red released, which shows you how little movies I digest. Let's see. So yeah, it's once in the last like 2.5 years. So I gotta digest some new content for sure. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and get into the chapter. By the way, the poll I did said most likely to become Pirate King. Gaimon won with 42%. Second place, Sengoku's Goat with 31%. Third place, Whoop Slap at 17%. And 10%, this is blasphemous, 10%, Saint Charlos the Conqueror, the man with infinite durability, down there at 10%. I don't know if you guys read the questions backwards, but Saint Charlos is number 1. We all know he's going to be Pirate King, for sure. But, all right, guys. Now we're getting to the actual chapter. One Piece chapter, 1145. I don't know what the title is yet. I see the cover page here. The color page is an anime hyping thing. Did the episodes come out at 11:15 p.m. their time? I thought it came out in the morning. But they're shifting the time, right? I think. I don't know. It doesn't matter. This is very cool. The whole crew watching the anime. Big fan of that. Very cool. Zoro's also like very drunk. Actually, everyone's drinking, I see. Ooh, Sanji's got the burger on the platter. I was at a wedding recently, like a month and a half ago, and they were serving these little mini burger slider things. Like obviously we had like the main course or whatever, but they were walking around giving away these mini burger appetizers, and everyone just wanted the burgers. Nobody wanted the main food anymore after trying the burger sliders. Those were amazing. So Sanji, you can slide one of those over to me, and I'll take care of it. Luffy's pointing at himself while looking at the TV. That's pretty cool too. I like that. All right, very cool color page. Chapter 1145, The Blaze in Branch 8's Forest Number 2. All right. And again, the Yamato cover story, man. Oda is just taking his good old time. So here's my theory at this point. I think Oda is purposefully going super slow in this cover story because he's trying to time things up. Hey, buddy, come here. Come on. We're reading the chapter, Cliff. Come here. We're gonna shut the door. I think he's going really slow because he wants to time it up so that whatever happens towards the end of this cover story can then coincide with whatever's happening in the actual manga. That's kind of the only thing I can think of because he's going so slow. Because, like, we've been in this room for, like 6 volumes now, right? Like, it could have been a two-chapter thing. Yamato sees what's going on. Yamato saves him. We see who it is. Maybe it could be 3 things. And then we're gone. But apparently we're going real slow. But we see Ulti holding page 1. And it also says Pei is still alive, which, if you guys have been around the channel, you guys know I'm the biggest page 1 hater of all time. So this is the worst page of the cover story so far, for sure the worst one. But nonetheless, I'm ready for Oda to show us what's happening next. I'm sure Ulti and page 1 are going to become scabbards, I would imagine. But either way, let's go ahead and get into the chapter, the real chapter here. All right, we got this dinosaur roaring. There's fighting in the realm of the dead too. So are these the real animals? Because this doesn't look like one of the drawings. Here it comes, Nash. Okay, so we got Goldberg. That's his name, right? Goldberg. We got his shield that's like alive, like a homie. Well, we've known this since a cover story, I believe. I can't remember which one. But it was the Grand Fleet one. But the fact that we're now getting focus on the shield is very cool, and it looks like it grew. Okay, and it blocked the dinosaur's attack, whatever this thing is. All right, that's pretty cool. Arme, Delaire, power shoots. We got Sanji and Zoro combo attack. And so what? So he like kicked Zoro up there. Okay, that's very cool. So this is interesting. This reminds me of a couple things. I mean, I think we've seen him do this before, but you also got to remember on Little Garden, when Sanji and Zoro each went and fought their own dinosaur, and now they're teaming up to take down a dinosaur. I think that's pretty cool. Maybe a little bit of a callback there. And then also, it reminds me a little bit of like Ryuma slaying the dragon, like the pose that he's in a little bit. But I don't know, maybe thinking a little bit too much about it. He's obviously some random dinosaur. This thing looks edible. It's big even by giant standards. Groggysaurus is super tasty, that's what it's called. They've got a thick layer of fat under the skin, so prep takes a while, but simmer it in booze and it's fantastic. We didn't bring any alcohol though. The hunter's cabin is stocked with all the cooking tools we'll need. Let's grab some herbs on the way back. So the shield looks really tired, which is interesting. Never mind that, what is this thing? Thank you, Zoro, for asking this. Is a devil fruit responsible? It came to life after my old man clashed with Big Mom. Big Mom? Well, okay, it's a homie then. Very cool. So it's just like Zeus, huh? What? You know Zeus? He's a high-ranking homie. Yeah, he's our navigator's lackey now. What? All right, that's some very cool context. Huge fan of that. Who is Goldberg's dad? Do we know that? Was that mentioned in a recent chapter and I missed it, or is that going to get revealed? All right, I just went to his wiki and typed in a couple searches and I didn't find anything. So we're going to figure that out. Is it it's probably not Jarl, maybe he's his grandpa. I don't know. God's Knights? That's right. They came here. Government officials? You're saying they did this to you? You got it. All your rampaging overseas must have made you some enemies. Don't be stupid. So, that's important context right there, because I think we could have presumed it, but now we have confirmation that he did rampage overseas. So it's not like he's been in Elbaf in his entire life. He has gone out and sailed and wreaked some havoc. So that's important context, I think. Which, like, we know he left because, like, Big Mom, but I don't know if we quite understood how much he was away from Elbaf. Don't be stupid. I'd already be king of the world if I'd gone far enough to cross paths with guys like that. World Government Knights? Alright, so now Luffy is aware that the God's Knights exist, which is cool. Hey, we got one. Groggy Sauruses are super nutritious. It's huge. I took it down. It was incredible. You look like a head of broccoli sailing gloriously through the air. Sanji. Did you collect the firewood? Yeah, it's right here. Good work out there. Alright, it's ready. So good. That first serving wasn't meant for you. Oh, right. Eat up, Loki. It's too hot. That's kind of funny. Take it easy, Luffy-kun. You'll reopen his wound. So Luffy is just taking it like straight off the grill and just shoving it in Loki's mouth, which is on brand. And it's pretty cool because like Luffy doesn't share his food very often, you know what I mean? But obviously he knows that Loki's hurt, and I think Luffy's kind of piecing together there's more to this Loki story than everyone thinks. You know, everyone thinks he's bad, but he may not be. And so I think there's a little bit of, I don't know if pity's the right word, but it's very interesting. This little relationship between Luffy and Loki is very cool. Moron, are you trying to kill me? Wow, you're better already. Chow down. You won't heal if you don't eat. See, that's what I'm talking about. See, that's such like a subtle, small character moment, but I really like that for Luffy. Like, you know, and you also think back to Wano, like, remember whenever he fought Kaido, he said the world he wants is one where all of his friends can eat as much as they want. And so I just think when Luffy's feeding someone, I think that's pretty symbolic. So Loki's eating. Gulp. It's hard to swallow. How am I meant to eat lying down? You sure are pushy. Hey, I do that all the time. Oh no, he's choking. Pass me the soup. Give me a sec. Hot. It's clearly boiling. Stay away from me. Oh my god, and now we went and spilt it on him. Okay, Luffy's like trying too hard to take care of him now. Now he's got even more burns. Get him the hell away from me. Luffy-kun, my bad. I didn't mean to. You too, Gerd-chan? What did he do to piss off the giants this much? I bet his promise to Luffy was just a trick. Wait, does Zoro have the meat on his sword? Like his sword is like a stick? Oh my god, that's actually pretty funny. I don't know if we've ever seen him do that before. Red Hair's whereabouts, huh? I'm afraid I wasn't lying about that. Is that so? You gonna spit it out then? The deal was that you'd free me from these chains first. You really want to see Red Hair that bad, huh? Well, I guess I can understand. That's what happens when you look up to a pirate in your youth. And now we got Harudin with like a little bit of a stoic reaction to that. What does that mean? So he probably looked up to a pirate in his youth as well, maybe? Or perhaps Loki did? And then would that just be like the giant warrior pirates? But they also weren't around when he was born, right? I don't know. You know the feeling? Yeah, I do. You regret that you were just a kid. Take me with you. So real quick, before I continue, this is obviously playing on the Luffy and Colin thing, right? Where like they get in, like, they both wanted to join Shanks, but were told no. And so now Loki apparently had the same situation happen. I didn't come all this way to take in a brat like you. Don't make me repeat myself. Is this going to be rocks? Then I challenge you. What? You seriously pulled a blade on a kid? Shut it, Newgate. That's rocks. That's gotta be rocks. Yo, that's crazy. That's gotta be rocks. Man, that panel where, like, he's looking, like, to the side with his eye, like that, it just makes him look so badass. And, like, look how big Loki is, even relative to, like, the people next to him in that earlier panel, so we know he's even, like, massive back then. Wow. I was born in the wrong era, which is definitely something that Roger also thought, so Loki's getting some awesome character development right now. So Loki got cooked by rocks. These Draugrs move like trained warriors. Ga-ba-ba-ba. There's plenty of ghosts too. How childish. Round him up. Is that Loki? Leave him to me. Yasan. So we got Scopper going for the Loki guy. All right. And Scopper just absolutely roasted him. It looks like I haven't gone down to the next page, but I see him just with like a giant gash in the middle of him. At least I presume. Guys, that Loki thing, that's crazy. That's awesome. Seriously. Good thing these things are just how the kids imagined them. So they'd be tougher to beat if they were familiar with the real versions, huh? All right, so that is something that I brought up in my Usopp video from like 2 weeks ago. So I'm really glad that Oda's also tackling it, because these are kids' drawings. They aren't the real thing, right? Because kids... now, obviously, it does come from like their dream, but it looks like the drawings, which kids' drawings are not accurate. They're not 100% to the real thing, right? So whatever image they have in their head or that they draw or whatever isn't perfect. But if they were, they'd be even stronger. Because if you go maybe to the library and you pull out the book on some of these myths, maybe like a better artist drew them, and you know that could be like a more formidable version. But and that's the last thing we need. And the fact they're bringing it up and saying it like that, like, oh, that's the last thing we need. We're getting the real things eventually. This is just the precursor. I think this is just to introduce us to it. And then we're going to get some serious threats shortly, I would imagine. Just as I thought, there's more now. 3 of them. Voices that strange can't be suppressed. I can hear them. If Elbaf is no longer safe, the world really is ending. I want to reread that. Just as I thought, there's more now. 3 of them. Voices that strange can't be suppressed. I can hear him. So I guess he's... So I think this is also building off something else I was talking about before, which is Scopper is going to be a god at observation hockey. And I think we've already seen that with him dodging Luffy like no problem in the treasure room or whatever it was. And so now that we're hearing this, like, voices that strange can't be suppressed, I can hear him. I think that's kind of like the voice of all things. Or remember how Momo said like he couldn't hear Luffy's voice anymore when he was falling through the ocean, or after he died, sorry. And maybe even the ocean thing, but with the but definitely on the roof whenever Luffy died, like you couldn't hear the voice. I think Law said that too, whatever. But the way he's saying voices that strange can't be suppressed, that's like, you know, I mean, these are some like strange voices, quote unquote, right? Like these aren't like normal people, normal beings. So I think that's just an interesting line, I think. Firefighting unit. Use the water from the sea clouds. Is that going to work? The flames are massive. Thank goodness you firefighters are here, but you need to hurry. The kids are heading straight for the flames. Oh, that's right, I forgot all about that. We're using the highest water pressure the valve can handle. You gotta put it out. Y'all can do it. Hey, I gotta say, I like that Oda's having firefighters, you know, have a role here in One Piece. This is cool. Shout out to all the firefighters. Big time. Put it out. I'm begging ya. Look, Gunko, the kids are about to burn alive. Would that be enough to wake them up? Yes, they'll wake up from the heat, screaming for their parents in terror. Then the flames will burn them down to the bone. Man, ain't that just touching? Well, okay, well, someone's got to cook the, someone's got to cook the God's Knights. That's all I got. Like, I mean, you know, last arc I was saying this about Saturn. Now, earlier this arc, I was saying about Roto, and now it's the God's Knights. And you know what? Saturn died. Roto got put on the cross. He got crucified for a little bit, and now he's basically Nami's slave. And God's Knights, you're next. You're next. You're on the chopping block. That's all I'm saying. You're absolutely next. All right, so I see Sea Cloud. All right, is that Jinbe? All right, before I even read this next thing, I'm sure this is going to be a cool moment for Jinbe. All right, I'm sure this is going to be cool. Assuming that's what's about to happen is what I think. He just did this last arc, right? In Wano, not last arc, because last arc was Egghead. But in Wano, this was like his big thing, is he, you know, him and Raizo work together to put out the fire. And like Oda, I love it, but like, can we please, I mean, just, I want Jinbe to do something else, you know, like this is fine, but like we gotta add something else onto the pile, you know. It can't just be putting out fires for Jinbe. If Jinbe's just a fireman, you know, that's sad. I think Jinbe's more, you know, worth more than that. But we'll see what Oda's cooking here. It is cool that it's a sea cloud, or a cloud, right? Like it's a little bit different in that way, but still, sea cloud. Is something wrong, firefighters? It's not out yet. We're doing all we can. It ain't working. Kids, no. And we see Summers laughing. Current shoulder throw. So definitely Jinbe. And we see Saul crying here. That's a pretty intense moment, honestly. That should do it. Did I make it in time? Over here, hop on. Right. That's our Jinbe. You gave me chills. And so we see all this water. All right. Like I said, very cool moment for Jinbe. It's just, I just don't want him to just be a firefighter, you know. I really hope I hope Oda can find something else. I mean, remember when Jinbe did the green room in Whole Cake? That was peak for me. That was so cool. Like him basically treating the ship like a surfboard. Super cool. But now we've done the firefighting thing twice, so I'm sure there's more to it, but we'll see. The Blaze and Branch 8's The blaze in Branch 8's forest number 2 has been extinguished. The children are all right. The kids just missed the flame, but they're still marching. A close call. I always had faith. Good job, firefighters. Here's to the Guardians of Elbaf. No, it wasn't us. Glad the Tykes are okay, though. Yeah. So, that's some interesting, like, I don't want to say character development, but just kind of, it's an interesting situation, because we've actually kind of seen this before in Fishman Island. Actually, Jinbe was kind of the one who did it, which that was a little bit different because of like the racial situation. But remember in Fishman Island when Jinbe was like, Luffy, like, you got to come out and help at the right moment. Like, if you don't come out at the right time, people are gonna, you know, not take your heroics the right way. It's not gonna help the situation as much as you think. Like, it's got to be the right situation, and that ended up happening. And here, it's a little bit of the same, and it's interesting that it's Jinbe who did it, because they were all like, you know, Elbaf is very proud. They like to, you know, be the saviors, and like they're saying, here's to the Guardians of Elbaf. Like, they like to build themselves up as like gods or heroes and all this kind of stuff. And then for Jinbe to come in out of nowhere and be the one who saves everybody, it's kind of like, oh man, like, if they weren't here, we would have been cooked. Like, that's not good, you know? Like, someone's kind of stealing the show a little bit, and it also shows how scary it is, because it's like, you know, we're giants. We're used to saving the world every single time. Like, we're saving our own place. Like, we're really strong. We never have people that can come in and just beat us up. And now we can't even put out this fire. Like, you know, it's just interesting, I think. Robin, just now, wasn't that Jinbe? He must be nearby. That was so cool, Jinbe. So freaking cool. Good one, Jinbe. It was nothing. The guys at school may hate me, but I still consider them my friends. Cool little moment from Colin. It'll be okay, Colin. We'll save them all. Yeah. And now the God's Knights just pull up? Alright. That's interesting. Way to change up the tempo of like the vibes of the moment. You know what I mean? Everyone was feeling good, and now they're cooked. So, not all children were in school. This one sure seems lively. Huh? Who's that? Finally, a direct confrontation? So Gunko has pulled up on the crew, on Colin, and on, well, I was going to say the Weakling trio, but Chopper's not there. But we got Nami and Usopp there with Brook and Jinbe. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I mean, obviously the crew is going to escape somehow, but I would imagine, you know, she's going to take Colin. I don't know. I think that's pretty cool that they lined up. I'm also very happy that that Gunko, like, we didn't focus on Gunko very much, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the last week, it's apparently been Gunko week over the last week, because let's see, I know Morge did a Gunko video, Tekking did a Gunko video, Grand Line Review did a Gunko video. I know a few weeks ago, Luna PN did a Gunko video. There's been Gunko video after Gunko video after Gunko video. And I'm also doing a Gunko video, which will be out this weekend. I was waiting to make sure my theory didn't get debunked in this chapter. And so that'll be out this weekend. And I'm really glad that it didn't get spoiled. But also, all the other ones that people did, my theory is different. You probably have heard of it before, but I don't think you've heard all of the angles to it that I'm going to bring up in my video. But like I said, it's been Gunko week, and I literally had people messaging me because they knew I was doing a Gunko video, and they kept saying, like, did you see this person do one? Did you see this one? Did you see this one? Did you see this one? And I appreciate it, because they don't want me to, they don't want, I don't want to say someone take my idea like they actually stole it, but someone do my idea first or whatever. And thankfully, I've been dodging bullets like I'm in the Matrix, but no one's done mine yet, so that'll be out this weekend. I'm excited about that. Also, the chat froze forever ago, so I'm gonna, you know what? We're just gonna pull up Chrome. Firefox is not it's not having it today. Let's see here. I'm gonna pull this up. If you did super chats, I have those and everything, but the chat itself is kind of frozen. There we go. All right. Oh, 180 people are here. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. It was stuck on like 140 or something on my screen, but now I see it's 180. Y'all, appreciate you. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Thank you. So yeah, Gunko video this weekend. All right. Mods, since I had to refresh the page, if I don't have any membership donations, I missed those. So if I saw the ones earlier, but during the stream, so if a mod can let me know if there was a membership donation that I missed, because I won't have those, but I do have all the super chats, so we're gonna go ahead and get into those now. Phenomenal chapter though, I thought. It was a little bit of a setup chapter, a little bit of like a development chapter, right? This isn't as much of a delivery one. More so just kind of continuing, making us feel like there's a threat going on here in this arc. Like letting us sit in the danger for a little bit, which I do appreciate that Oda does that, because it makes it feel more serious. But I think the big thing about the chapter that I really want to talk about, and I'm sure you guys are going to have some super chats on it here in a second, is the Rocks thing. Rocks fighting Loki. That's just little bits of lore like that, just to sprinkle in there to make the world feel more connected. It's insane. We also see that Rox's hair looks kind of similar to what it looked like in the one silhouette we got, which makes me feel like he might actually end up looking that way. But with Loki as an example, we know the silhouettes aren't always accurate, but that one might be. But regardless, let me go ahead and get into these super chats. I saw Ben's, saw Mr. Bushido. Mr. Bushido with the €2. This was right when I started. Spoiler, Yamato does a thing. Shocking. And you know what, Bushido? That's about all Yamato's doing, is a thing. Like, it's like a little something every time. Like, honestly, guys, if like these last like 3 or 4 chapters of the Yamato cover story, if those panels were like its own chapter, like if you know what I mean? Like, if you had an actual chapter dedicated to those events, if the first 4 pages were like the events that we saw, you would feel like that chapter is moving slow. But the thing about a cover story is it usually moves pretty quick, because like, he's got to jump from one thing to the next. Like, he doesn't, have a million panels in a chapter to show for those events like he does for a normal chapter. But like, if these last 4 panels were its own, like in a chapter, you would feel like, all right, Oda, like, let's, time is moving slower than in real time, like with the way these are going. So yeah, I'm ready for that cover story to hurry up. So I feel you there, Mr. Bushido. Knack Reacts, Canadian 279. Zeus is gonna turn out to be Goldberg's dad. Wait, how? Well, it's Big Mom's soul that's in it. So I mean that'd be crazy. That would be insane. I mean, well, how old is Goldberg was born back in Loki's time, right? Now I'm also thinking about that because I think whenever Loki was born, they said I think that yeah, Goldberg has like the same birthday as Loki, right? Or like they're very close. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know who his dad is. I genuinely that's an interesting question in general. It's also interesting to think about. You remember how Big Mom or Mother Carmel made Pandora and then Big Mom made Prometheus? I wonder if Mother Carmel had a Thundercloud version at some point. Like, she obviously didn't when we saw her, but I do wonder if there was a Storm Cloud for Mother Carmel at some point, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm ready to find out about Goldberg's dad, though. I think that'd be very cool. Very cool reveal. These familial connections for the Giants always have more weight than most because the Giants live so long that there's only so many generations removed from the Void Century. And like I said before a million times, Jarl is old enough to have met Nolan. So I feel like a lot of these Giants' parents are going to be really important. Also, Birch, I saw you just plugged the Discord in the chat. Appreciate you, Birch. Everyone, if you haven't joined the Discord, now is the time, for real. The Discord's grown. We got a great group of people in there. You know, don't cramp our style, but it's a good place to talk about some One Piece for sure. Mr. Bushido with the €5. Nas might hint at my theory. Who is Nas a person in the chat? Or is that... whatever, I'll just keep reading. Nas might hint at my theory that Big Mom came to Elbaf 6 years ago. Loki was working with Shiki before Shanks arrived. P.S. Sanji and Zoro working together, question mark. As for the Sanji and Zoro working together, yeah, that's not something we see very often. And and usually when we do, it's a situation where they they have to, right? Or like they didn't mean to. So one example is like when they saved Otoko with the Yasuye thing. Like, they both went there not even knowing they were going to jump in and save her, and they kind of worked together. So, like, that's one example where, like, they didn't know. And there's also times where, like, they're forced to, and I can't think of any off the top of my head, but, like, similar situations that we saw here where, like, he'll kick Zoro to help him. That's usually, like, a more desperate situation. This time didn't feel that desperate. They just kind of willingly did it. And so that is a little bit weird, right? I feel like that's a little bit off-brand for them. But, I don't know. Maybe the dinosaur just is that big, but... You know, and like I said, in Little Garden, they each went and killed their own, and now they're working together to kill one, and I would have thought they would each take down a dinosaur to play off of the Little Garden thing, but it is what it is. But you also said, Big Mom came to Elbaf 6 years ago. Loki was working with Shiki before Shanks arrived. The thing with Big Mom coming to Elbaf 6 years ago is, like... They hate Big Mom. I can't really see them, like, letting her show up, / if she did, I feel like it would be a really big deal. So I'm not 100%... I mean, it's possible, but we also know that Loki went to Big Mom because Loki, with the wedding, so we know that they also, would have met there. So I feel like because of that, I'm not 100% sure. I do think Big Mom would have sent messengers at the very least to Elbaf, because how else would the wedding have happened if she didn't, talk to the Giants beforehand? So I don't know. I that's interesting. I'm not the Shiki part. I know you're the Shiki theory guy, so I'm not going to speak on that because I know you got a million Shiki theories. So and I agree he's going to show up. I'm not sure if he. I'm not a big believer that he has connections with a lot of the main characters right now. Like, I don't think he is really working in cahoots with Loki or. And I'm not saying you said this necessarily. Maybe in another theory you did, but like Blackbeard or something. Like, I don't think Shiki's that kind of guy. Or I just don't think Oda would do that, to have Shiki pulling strings like that with those important of characters. Now Beige or somebody, I think that's more feasible. But and I do think Beige will pull up at some point. But either way, I know you're the Shiki guy. So whenever Shiki pulls up, we'll see We'll see which flowers you're gonna get there, Bushido, because I know you got a ton of Shiki theories. You also said I think Rox is Luffy's grandfather and he's deaf evil, and I know that's another theory that you've had for a while. Is that the one that O'Hara did a video on? I think I can't remember exactly. I know there was something like that. But I know you've been pushing that for a long time. Personally, I'm not big on that. I think it's definitely like I don't think he's gonna be Luffy's like directly related to him. I'm also not a big believer that he's gonna be directly related to Blackbeard either. I would like it more if he's a Shanks to Blackbeard, which even that doesn't necessarily work because Blackbeard was like 2 when Rox died, but something like that I would prefer. But yeah, but I know, like I said, I know you've had that theory, and I think O'Hara did a video on it. I think, but either way, we'll see. We'll see. I'm happy to get Rox hype no matter what. Benesse with the $5. Only feat we got for Rox stabs a child. That's a pretty bad look, isn't it? And you know, it's kind of funny because there's been a lot of theories that I don't know if I necessarily agreed with, but I definitely saw where people were going with it, that Rox could be a buggy type person where he's not necessarily strong himself, but he has a lot of charisma or money or influence, whatever it is, to get these strong people on his side. Like maybe it's more of a business and he's not really strong himself, he just has strong people under him. I've heard that a lot, basically Cross Guild is. And I gotta say, if that ends up being true and Rox's like biggest feat is actually beating this child and he couldn't beat anyone else, like this is just him flexing on one of the only people he can flex on, that would be pretty bad. That would be a bad look. So I hope that's not the case now. Now that this exists, I'm fully off board of the Buggy connection. Could they be related or some connection? Sure, but I don't think he's going to be weak like Buggy. So yeah, I really hope this isn't. I hope this doesn't stay as his only feat. That would be bad. I mean, it's already bad that this is only one. So yeah, that's not a good look. Even if it's Loki, who's probably a beast, definitely not a good look. Kuya with the $2 super chat. I'm still on the belief that Rox is not dead, which is interesting, and I have heard that before. Now I'm curious what your justification would be for that, or I don't know if justification is the right word. How do you think he survived it without anyone knowing, and what do you think he's doing now? Like, kind of what's the situation behind it? Because I do think that idea is interesting, and we know in One Piece that you're never dead till you're forgotten, and even beyond that, you might just never die, period, because Oda just doesn't kill anybody off. So like, I would not be that surprised if he came back, but obviously we are led to believe he's dead. So yeah, I'm kind of curious on what you think all the others the particulars are around that situation, because it could also be that maybe he is dead, but obviously his will would have lived on. He's definitely going to be alive in that way. And I could also see him being alive, and I don't think this is the case, but just as an example, maybe there's some corpse or shadow shenanigans that Oda can do, or, again, I don't think this is going to happen, but we saw with holograms that you can, make people, like, what if there's a hologram of Rox? I don't know. Like, there's different ways to bring Rox back other than him just being alive. So, I don't know. We'll see. Oda's got something special for Rox. That's 100% fact for sure. Kush Daddy with the $2 super chat. Rox only shown one eye. Does he have an eye patch? Very interesting idea. I didn't think about that. And you could also argue that like the sorry, hold on. I'm trying to bring back the chapter real quick. Okay, now I'm back to the Rox section. Yeah, and you could also argue that Oda doing it the way that he did was because he's a silhouette, he can hide the eye patch. Like if he does have an eye patch on, you wouldn't really see it until we see the real design. So that would be a cool kind of way to foreshadow it, because he's having the word bubbles block the eye. So that is an interesting thing to think about. Because that word bubble, what? Question mark, exclamation point, that's blocking where his other eye would be. The don't make me repeat myself one, that's blocking the other eye. That is interesting. I mean, Rocks would make sense as one of the guys with an eye patch. Now, if it's not Rocks, because Oda's obviously building up to like one very important person, because eye patches go like hand in hand with pirates, right? If it's not going to be Rocks, which I do think Rocks makes the most sense, then I do think it eventually being Luffy makes a lot of sense. I think that theory's been around for a long time, but you know, you think about Zoro missing an eye, Sanji having an eye covered, Luffy has a scar under an eye, but both eyes are still kind of operational. Or, I mean, I guess Sanji's eyes are operational too, but you know what I mean. He blocks one. So, so I think Luffy's the other good one, but that's a good idea, Kush. I could definitely see Rocks for sure. Vasil, Vlad, Ivanovici with the £5 super chat. I wonder if Luffy tries so hard to be kind to Loki because he senses some deep sadness, loneliness too, coming from him. Yes, I completely agree with that. You're cooking. I think that's definitely it. And it kind of goes to a little bit of what we talked about earlier in the arc, where like, you know, or well, we've talked about it, I guess, throughout the series, where Luffy's a pretty good judge of character. You go back to Rayleigh with the time skip. I love bringing this moment up where Rayleigh's like, what are you going to do when you meet these people that can see the future and all this stuff? And Luffy's like, well, it depends what kind of person they are. And Rayleigh's like, I've never thought about that once. Like, what does that have to do with this, you know? And that just shows that Luffy's always thinking about who the person is on a character level. Like, are you a good person? Do you have good intentions? Because, you know, if you're weak but you have really bad intentions, that's kind of just as dangerous as a strong guy who has bad intentions. Because like, you think about someone like Spandam, who isn't strong in and of himself, but he obviously led to some pretty bad stuff happening for Luffy and the crew, and they had to get out of there and all that stuff. So, you know, Luffy's always a really good judge of character in that way. Not perfect, but that's kind of been his thing. And so for Luffy to be going out of his way to kind of befriend Loki, to feed him, to, you know, all this kind of stuff, and to go against what everyone's telling him, we're definitely trying to go to a point, I think, to kind of what you're saying, where Luffy knows, like, hey, there's way more to this than you guys think. Like, Loki isn't this evil bad guy. Maybe he's not great either, right? Maybe he's not perfect, but he can definitely tell that Loki, like what if the reason Loki, you know, killed Harold, which now we know isn't, you know, the story isn't what we were told. There's more to it. You know, what if the reason he did that was to protect the giants, to protect Elbaf, to maybe he knows that the world is going to have this big war, and he's like, hey, I want to help the world. I want to protect us. I need to, you know, have this fruit, so I'm really powerful, so I can help, blah, blah, blah. Like that, you know, that builds the situation up to be something completely different than what we thought originally. So I agree. Like, there might be deep sadness because maybe Loki does want to help people, but his version of helping is being really strong and, you know, hurting the bad guys, and that's why he's acting like he is. And so I completely agree. I think Luffy knows there's, you know, Loki knows something that everyone needs to agree with or needs to understand his side of the argument. So I agree. And the way that Oda did it this chapter, where he's like, you know, force feeding Loki and all this, like, it's very clear that Luffy feels really bad for the guy, right? Like very bad. And I think that on its own is a very interesting plot line. So yeah, you're cooking 100%. Trevor Verge's art with the $5. Appreciate you, Trevor. Channel artist for the channel is almost what I said, but that's a little bit redundant. But you know, Trevor's the one making all the great art on the channel here for this thumbnail and all my other videos. So major shout out, Trevor. If you guys need anything drawn, Trevor, I don't know if you're busy, but if you guys need anything commissioned, definitely hit up Trevor. Gunko is gonna get in an L face next week seeing Brooke. Wait, well, she did just see him here, right? Well, but maybe she hasn't like fully acknowledged him, right? I guess they are face to face. I didn't even think about that, Trevor. That's amazing. That you might be right. She's gonna freak out next chapter. She probably just hasn't fully realized it because she's talking about Colin mainly. So you might be right. Also, don't sleep on aquatic mine. I am not sure what that is. Should I look that up real quick? Oh, from Sonic Adventures back. Okay, hold on. Let me. You guys can't hear my music right now. Hold on. Let me listen to this. This is important, guys. If you guys, by the way, if you guys haven't played Sonic Adventure Battles 2, which a game came out like 17 years ago, so you know it's old. But if you guys haven't somehow, You need to, and I don't care how old it is. I don't even care if you don't like Sonic. That game is genuinely one of the best games of all time, and I will stand by that. Let me listen to this. I got it up right here. Oh yeah, that's. Wait, is there words to it? Oh, we got the disc scratching. Yep, got some words. Dude, this is actually great too. I remember this so much now that the words are playing. Aquatic Dive Into the Mellow is apparently the name of the song, but Aquatic Mine is the level. Man, that OST was so good. So good. You said Gaimon clears Charlos 1v1, ironically. You know, that's a tough matchup because you got Charlos the Conqueror, the man of ultimate durability, and you got Gaimon, who is maybe the One Piece himself, you know? So that's tough. I will say the thing that might give Gaimon the edge is that, do you know what his ship is called? Have you guys ever looked up what Gaimon's ship was named? I learned this the other day, and it might be my favorite ship name in the entirety of the story. I'll give you guys like 2 seconds to type it in the chat just in case anybody actually knows off the top of their head. If I give you guys like 10 seconds, then you guys have time to Google. We can't let that happen. But this is like one of my new favorite pieces of trivia in One Piece. All right, I haven't seen anybody type it, but the Gaimon ship, the one that he was on before he got stranded on the island of rare animals, yeah, that's what it's called, is the Machina Hallelujah, or I assume it's Machina. I guess it could be like Machina or something, but the Machina Hallelujah, and I just thought that was amazing. The fact that Hallelujah is in the name, I just thought that was hilarious. It also just has like a little dragon on the top. It kind of reminds me of Shanks' ship a little bit. But the Machina Hallelujah, which is one of my favorite ship names. It's not even close. The Machina Hallelujah. I forget how I even found it. I was doing a video and I was looking up some fact in the wiki and I just saw Machina Hallelujah and I was like, what the hell is this? And then I saw Gaimon wrote it and I was like, okay, well that's my favorite ship now. So thank you, Trevor. Knack reacts with the Canadian $7. Knack, you're going crazy on the donations today. Thank you so much, brother. Seriously. How fast will Gunko melt into a puddle when Brooke starts singing? I'm thinking first verse. Yeah. First word. Honestly, no. Not even the first word, just the first hum. Because you know how Brooke is, he's his attacks are the humming / whatever it is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's definitely a hummer. And you also think about, I guess it is a word, but even if he goes like whenever we first met, he was like, yo ho 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 ho, like how he started that. I mean, it's kind of part of Bink Sake, but whenever we first met him, that was like the first words out of his mouth. Remember, like it was like all mysterious and dark. If he just starts saying yo ho ho ho, it's already puddle status. She's done. I can't believe I didn't even think about that. Both you and Trevor brought it up, and I did not even realize that they're face to face already. So sign me up for that. I can't wait now. And I do see we're on a break. I don't know if I ever said that, but we are on a break. So that's actually good for me, so I can get this Gunko video done, which will be out this weekend. Now I'm gonna try getting the Nami Blackbeard fight video done as well. That one is pretty far along. Hopefully I can get both of those out in the next week or so. But yeah, Knack, I'm going first couple words. Bean Boy, member for 24 months, 2 years officially. Thank you, Bean Boy. We've been a Facebook official for 2 years, Bean Boy. Appreciate you. Rox was probably friends with Harold. Interesting thought. Okay, yeah, you're probably right. And because that's the only reason, well, not the only reason, but that's a good reason why Rox would be on Elbaf at all. I mean, I guess you could maybe reason Loki left Elbaf, but I would think it's a lot more reasonable to say Rox came to Elbaf and met Loki, and that's where they fought. So that's interesting. Yeah, and so this might be evidence that Harold invited Rox there and they were working together. And that actually makes me think of a whole other situation. because we know that Harold was trying to like make the world, globalize, like with global trade, get them more sophisticated, whatever you want to put it, right? Like less barbaric, whatever set of words you prefer there. And one thing with rocks, because we don't know a lot about the Rocks pirates yet, but earlier I mentioned the potential parallels to Cross Guild, which I do think there are good parallels. It's just mainly like, is Rocks actually like buggy, or is Rocks actually strong? That's the main thing. But I do think there's parallels, and Cross Guild is built off of the buggy delivery company, whatever they called it, right? Like it's the next stage of that, and that's why they do the bounties and all that kind of stuff. And Oda actually talked in an SBS recently that where the money comes from for the Cross Guild to pay the bounties is a lot of the underworld stuff going on, which, we know the underworld does a lot of underworld trade. And so that's where this is all going, is that underworld trade in Elbaf may be closely tied because of Harold. Because, like with Rocks, maybe he was similar in that he was helping the underworld do a lot of trade, and that's why Harold and Rocks worked together, is he needed him to help him with the underworld trade. And then you think about Mother Carmel, who also was doing underworld stuff, right? She was trafficking these orphans. Maybe Harold was literally bringing in these underworld brokers, and that's how the underworld in One Piece actually started, is all these people began working with Harold and making these, like, kind of shipping routes or whatever. And then also, you think about the Atom Tree. Remember how, like a couple chapters ago, Ripley was like surprised that the Atom Wood was worth so much, right? She was like, wait, oh, that's worth millions? Like, I could sell that? Oh, well, maybe I should steal some or whatever. Well, that might be another part. What if Harold was shipping off the Atom Wood and never even told Elbaf? Like, what if it was all a black market thing? And because he didn't want people to know that wood was worth a lot, for whatever, shitty government tactics he was pulling. Maybe all of this is just Harold doing the, like, black market type stuff. And maybe that, is part of why Loki killed him, or, we'll find out if that's true or what the context is. But that might be part of it, is like Harold was doing a bunch of bad stuff. Yeah, actually, I actually think that's a really, really good theory, the more I think about it. And it also makes me wonder, could Rocks have... I don't know, could Rocks and Mother Carmel have been friends at some point? Like, maybe when Mother Carmel started. Because obviously Mother Carmel... See, I don't know. I have to think about the timeline of events there. But... because, like, maybe Mother Carmel was, like, Rox's, partner or something. I don't know. I have to think about that. Damn. That's actually a great, great thought there, Bean Boy. I know I kind of went... I know I kind of went off the rails. I detached pretty far from what you were saying, but you may have just spawned a new theory for me to think about here. The underworld connections. That's crazy. Yeah, Rocks probably was friends with Harold. I'm actually feeling really confident in that now. Knack reacts for the Canadian $7. What if the cover story is so slow because Momo and Kinemon are fighting Blackbeard? It ends when Blackbeard wins and Yamato sees the destroyed Curry. I do like the idea that it all ties to Blackbeard for sure. Now, I would be really, really surprised. I'd be surprised in general if Oda had Wano like suffer like that, especially the capital, just because they obviously went through so much with Kaido. Now, Blackbeard pulling up and trying to get Pluton, that I think is really possible. But he could also get Pluton without hurting all the people in Wano, right? Like if you just destroy the walls, and I guess we don't really know how the structures work, but if you destroy the walls, it's not like the people in Wano will like suffer. It's not like they'll die. I mean, the water will drop, which will affect them, but they won't like die. And so I think that might be more so where Oda goes, is just break the walls, get Pluton, let him leave, nobody dies, just so, there's less suffering there. But I do agree that, that it could be going slow so that Oda can line up Blackbeard pulling up with the, the chapter. Because we saw that with Pudding, where when, Pudding was shown to be on Blackbeard's ship, that the cover page for that chapter showed Pudding with Kuzan and Augur. So we kind of had those interconnect. So I do think Oda's doing the same thing. My question then, though, is why didn't Oda kind of have the foresight to line it up better? Because he's going so slow that it's like, you could have done a whole other cover story series and then got to the Yamato stuff, Oda. Like you didn't have to waste time. That's essentially what he's doing, at least in my opinion, is wasting time. So I don't know, but I agree with the Blackbeard stuff. I think Blackbeard pulling up that makes the most sense. That's like the easiest. And I've talked about this before too, where Whitebeard showed up, and that's how Odin got off of Wano. Well, if Blackbeard shows up, who's obviously like a Whitebeard inversion or parallel, a little bit of both, and that's how Yamato gets off, who Yamato is obviously an Odin parallel. Like that just interconnects so perfectly that I think that's probably what's going to happen. Not that Yamato joins Blackbeard, but just that Blackbeard showing up is what gives Yamato the reason to leave, basically. So yeah, I think that's Blackbeard makes the most sense. Alejandro Solis with 2 different donations here. First being a member for 17 months. Hashtag Gunko for Nakama. She has the same humor as Robin. Birch, you here? Birch, you in the chat? You got your Nakama here in the chat for you, Birch. You and Alejandro Solis are cut from the same cloth. 2 peas in the same pod. Birch is the #1 Gunko for Nakama supporter that I've ever met. But Alejandro, you have officially joined the crew. Birch, you're here. Well, Birch, you and Alejandro gotta connect. That's all I gotta say. You guys gotta connect on LinkedIn. Gotta send each other a Facebook friend request. And we'll see. I talk about Gunko for Nakama a little bit in my next video. Maybe I'll have to change that section now a little bit. Well, probably not. I could. I recorded the video and I left like a little bit of room for like, all right, maybe I can add some stuff from the new chapter if needed. There wasn't a whole lot here, but maybe I could. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not completely against it. I do think it's a little bit unlikely, but I do think Gunko for Ally is 100%, honestly. But then Alejandro, you also said for $2, Rock stabs Loki like Luffy stabs Laboon to stop him. Man, I forgot about Luffy hurting my boy. Luffy's the only one who's allowed to hurt Laboon because I'm presuming that Laboon likes the roughhousing. But be careful, Luffy. That's all I gotta say. Be careful. If you I know you actually stabbed Laboon in the eye, didn't he? Or stabbed him in the blowhole, one of the two, I can't remember. Punched him in the eye, stabbed him in the blowhole, I think is what he did, if I remember correctly. But that's interesting though. And I guess what you're kind of saying there is maybe like Rock's, fought Loki to stop him from, obviously joining the crew, but you could even reason maybe some of the stuff that Loki was talking about, like, because Loki probably has been talking about world domination for a lot of his life, I would guess. We don't really know that, but I would kind of guess that Loki's been on this since he was a kid. So that would be kind of interesting too, for Rox to kind of put Loki into his place and be like, dude, you're not the one. You're not him. You're not. I know you think you are, but you're not. That would be kind of interesting. It's kind of like what Luffy did with Laboon. It was obviously stop him from hitting his head. So it's a little bit similar, but Loki is obviously has much worse intentions. Birch, I just saw you in the chat. We're recruiting. Well, it looks like you got your first mate there in the chat. Oh, and Straw Hat Kufi said, yo, Loki uses whale blood in the IV as well. I forgot about that. That's also true. That's a very good connection. Yeah. Loki might be part Laboon. If Loki is part Laboon, we're not even going to talk about it. I can't. That would change everything for the better. Dreams Never Die, 95. Super chatted $10. Thank you so much, Dreams. Loki and oars chained in the cold. Cerberus. Oh, my chat just broke. Oh, all right, there we go. Never mind. I just got a random pop-up that like my whole web page crashed. I've never seen that. That was very weird. Anyway, he said Loki and oars chained in the cold. A Cerberus and an arc. Strong hints of Brook's importance. Mentions of salt. A shadow like Moria's ghost. You're cooking, by the way. You're cooking. You're cooking a meal that I would eat. That I have been eating, as a matter of fact. This recipe right here. This you're cooking. A shadow like Moria's ghost, and now Xebec and Rock's callback. Yes, Oda's paralleling Thriller Bark. 100% Dreams. And I know you only have so many characters there in the chat, in the little chat box. So let me go ahead and add a couple more things there for you. You know, there's been a theory for a long time that Thriller Bark might be a chunk of God Valley, because we know that Thriller Bark is from the West Blue, and God Valley was in the West Blue. And now we're here on Elbaf, where guess what? A lot of the God Valley participants are becoming relevant again. We have Scopper here. We had Shamrock here earlier, who's kind of like a Garling stand-in, because Garling was there at God Valley. Kuma's here. There's other examples. But a lot of people have been saying, oh, is this going to be a God Valley 2.0? Because now we also have the kids who are, you know, getting sent to the ship and all this stuff. Like, it's a very weird situation. They called it a game, which is kind of what God Valley was. So if Thriller Bark really is a chunk of God Valley, and we have kind of God Valley 2.0 kind of happening here in Elbaf, that's another connection. So yeah, Dreams, you're 100% cooking. The Oda is paralleling Thriller Bark massively here. You know, you also talked about the Loki and Oars connection. That actually goes even deeper than that. And again, I know you didn't have enough characters here, but I know you probably already know this. But we've talked about the ancient giant lore, like the ancestry of the ancient giants, how important they are, and how like, you know, Harold took his horns off, and they kind of care about like the pure-blooded giants and those, you know, who are or aren't pure-blooded or whatever. Like, all that stuff has been very relevant, and it's for a reason. Even Kaido talked about the Onis, and now here we're and now we might have Kaido's dad here and Harold. We don't know that for sure, but maybe. So yeah, this is definitely a Thriller Bark parallel going on. And I don't know if Vex is in the chat. Vex is the lurking legend. He tends to lurk because he is the lurking legend. But I know he's the #1 Thriller Bark fan, so I know he definitely agrees as well. So yeah, no, Dreams, you're 100% cooking. And you know, if you guys have seen my videos, you guys probably already know that I've said this before, but I think where this is probably going is that we're gonna learn Emu's powers are an upgraded version of Moria's, and maybe Emu's powers are more expansive than that. Maybe it's more than Shadow or Souls or whatever. But at a bare minimum, we're gonna find out that Emu's powers are a better version of Moria's, and I think a better version of Big Mom's as well, which is why Big Mom is so closely tied to this arc. Because then you have Shadows and Souls sort of interconnected in the same arc, where Shadows were said to be the second soul, and Souls are more so lifespan. It's kind of different than your normal soul. And so having those all tied to the same arc, there's a reason why that's happening. So, you know, you're cooking 100%, Dreams. 1,000% actually. Mr. Bushido with the €2. Big Mom attacked Elbaf with Loki 6 years ago. So that was when Loki was captured, right? I feel like we would be told if Big Mom actually attacked Elbaf again, because if Big Mom shows up and just like meets with the leaders and organizes this Loki thing, I could see that happening without us hearing about it, because it might be, I mean, maybe most of the giants don't even know she pulled up. Maybe it was kind of secretive. But if she actually pulled up and attacked again, and none of the giants have brought it up, that I think would be a little weird. So I don't know if Big Mom would have attacked Elbaf. I could definitely see Loki doing so, because we know Loki's been rampaging forever. So that I think we have to see more about. And also, if Loki was locked up 6 years ago, hold on, I also want to double check one thing real quick. If Loki was locked up 6 years ago, okay, because if he was locked up 6 years ago, then Lola would have been 20 at the time, and so I guess the wedding could have been right before that, theoretically. Okay, so that kind of lines up too. But yeah, I think Big Mom attacking is something we would have heard about personally, but I mean, we'll see. You know, I've definitely been wrong before. Straw Hat Koofy with the $2. Rocks is Croc's pops. Are you saying crocodile? Are you saying Rocks is Crocodile's pops? Because I completely agree with that. I don't know if you have seen my video. I feel like you're probably referring to that one, but I completely agree with that. Rocks is going to be Crocodile's dad. I think that just fits beautifully. I don't have time to go through the whole theory if you haven't heard this idea before, but definitely scroll back through my videos. I think it's like a couple years old now, which is crazy, but I did do a video about that a while ago if you want to hear the full scoop. But I think that makes so much sense. And if Crocodile pulls up this arc with the Cross Guild, which I still have hope for, you know, we'll see a lot's going on right now. More people are coming to Elbaf. It's just who? Is it Big Mom and Kaido? Is Shiki coming also? Is Is Cross Guild coming? We know Yarouge is going to pull up at some point. There's a lot of people, so I think we got to see that. But I could definitely see Croc. So I agree with you, Koofy, 100%. Wise Life Jody with the $2 super chat. Appreciate you. I think this is the first time you've ever super chatted on this channel, so I appreciate you, Jody. Thank you very much. At least I think this is the first time. First time I've seen the name, I think. But any chance Jinbe fights a Holy Knight 1v1? Yeah, definite. I would say definite. Now, as for who he would fight, if I have to pick one out of the people that are here now, I'm not really sure. I'd have to think about that because, like with Summers, I feel like there's a good chance that would be a Sanji fight because he's already talked about love a lot, and I don't know, he produced the salt or whatever, so like he maybe has some cooking expertise. I'm not sure. I feel like him. I don't know. See, it also depends if more Holy Knights show up because, like, for instance, right now, Gunko just pulled up on the ship with like the Straw Hats and Colin and all that. The only Straw Hat who can throw hands with Gunko really is Jinbe. I love Brook, and I think Brook is stronger than people give him credit for. But fighting a Holy Knight is pretty insane for Brook. If you don't have hockey, you shouldn't even be in the discussion, in my opinion. Now, obviously, his personality, his music and stuff might help fight Gunko, so that's a whole different ball game. But strength-wise, Jinbe is probably the only one who should even be able to think about fighting Gunko. So I think at a minimum, we're going to get Jinbe throwing hands a little bit here, maybe just protecting the crew. But generally, absolutely, I could see Jinbe fighting a Holy Knight this arc. If more of them pull up, then that goes to 100%, I would say. So absolutely. I would tentatively say that, well, I was going to say tentatively Killingham might make the most sense to fight Jinbe just because, like, Gunko seems to have had a lot of focus, and I could see, like, Usopp or someone fighting Gunko, like, long-term. And like I said, with Summers, it kind of seems to be a Sanji thing. But at the same time, I could also see it just be, like, a monster trio thing. Or not a monster trio, but I guess the new one with Jinbe replacing Luffy, which I know that's not really how it works, but you know what I mean. Now we have Luffy and then 3 strong people under him, 3 commanders kind of. So I could see the commanders taking it too. It depends. I don't know, but Jinbe's at least going to do something here, I would say. I hope so, because with like I said earlier, Jinbe throwing the water, very cool moment, but we've already had that. And honestly, I wish Oda didn't do it the first time, because in Wano, when Jinbe threw that water, he was throwing Zunisha's water from Raizo's scroll, and Zunisha was like right outside, like, and you know, I don't know necessarily how far Zunisha was, like, is Zunisha tall enough or close enough to spray the water? I don't really know the logistics, but I always felt like Zunisha should have done that. So now that Jinbe did it a second time, it feels a little redundant, but regardless, I do think he's gonna have some fighting this arc for sure. JR Writer 203 with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you, JR. Curious how Loki was when learning of Rox's L at God Valley. Ooh, that's a good. I have a good parallel for that, but I'm gonna keep reading first. Might give insight to how Luffy would react to a Shanks L. Sonic Adventure 2 goated. Sonic Adventure Battle 2, dude. It's so good. Like, I mean, we could sit here for hours talking about how great it is. I'm not gonna lie. It was so far above its time. The what do they? I always mispronounce it. The the chows, however you pronounce it. Those little things you took care of. Peak. That was so much fun for no reason. When I would go over to my friend's house, like, the first thing we'd look at is our chows, our chayos, whatever they're called, and we would look at, like, the ones we got. You get, like, the heavenly ones, the evil ones. You would have them race. So good. But anyways, as for how Loki was when he learned of Rox's L at God Valley, I think it would be very similar to how Odin reacted when Roger died. Because remember how Odin, like, ran to the beach and was, like, crying, but he was also happy at the same time? I don't know if Loki would be happy, but I think it'd be a similar situation where Loki's gonna, like, get the paper, hear it, he's gonna go run by himself, definitely cry. I could see a little bit of a smile, because maybe it's for a different reason, where he's like, for instance, maybe Rox told him, I'm gonna be, the king or whatever. I'm gonna be the god and not you. And then Rox died, and maybe that was like a happy thing for Loki because he's like, oh well, now I can be it. That guy was wrong. But either way, I do think he would have a similar scene of like running to the beach, freaking out, very emotional. I for sure. I think that's what Oda would go for. And then as for how Luffy would react to a Shanks loss, it's funny because that would be like the exact opposite to what Odin did, I would argue, because where Odin like ran to the beach and was like by himself and was like kind of happy but also sad at the same time, whatever. I think Luffy would just be distraught immediately. Like I think he would just drop everything and freak out. I don't know if he would get into the same state as Marineford, because part of the Marineford experience was to learn that, you still have your Nakama. You're not supposed to get into that state and be upset when you lose one person because you still have the others, right? So I don't know if he would do that because from a writing standpoint, he's not supposed to. But he would definitely want to because, Shanks, he's as close with Shanks as he was to Ace probably. Or, I mean, I guess he spent more time with Ace, but, he really looks up to Shanks. I'm not going to compare him. He cares about both very much. So I think that's probably what Luffy would do, but not sure if he would, like lose consciousness like he did. But we'll see. We'll see. I do think there's a chance he'll get that news soon because, I mean, I don't know if Shanks is going to lose to Blackbeard like soon, but it's got to be soon in relative terms of the whole story. If we assume that's going to happen, which I do think it's going to happen. So we'll see. It'll give Luffy more reason to hate Blackbeard. So I don't know. Guardian Tree with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Guardian Tree. Gabon was hearing the God's Knights, not the Dream Monsters. God's Knights can conceal their aura from others, but not Gabon. He sensed their arrival too. That's an interesting thought as well. Hold on, I want to go back up and look at the context of that. Oh, yeah, because he said, just as I thought, there's more now, 3 of them. Yeah, I guess I was thinking because of the monsters in front of him. Because didn't they say, hold on, let me see. Can't remember. Oh yeah, because earlier Dory or Broggy says there's plenty of ghosts too. How childish, and it felt like they were implying like more things were coming. But you're right. Whenever he says, just as I thought, there's more now, 3 of them. Yeah, it is the God's Knights, and it's funny because it says voices that strange. Because I thought strange would make a lot more sense in regards to the drawings, but the God's Knights, calling him strange, maybe we'll need the official for that, or, if somebody knows how to read Japanese, they can break down the kanji a little bit. But I really wonder what like strange entails there, because the God's Knights are probably trying to hide their voices or their presence, but it's strange enough, probably like Emu's powers. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like they're influenced by something Emu related, and thus their voice is a little bit different. That's very cool, but I like that Scopper's getting that moment because, like I said, he should be good at observation. He should be like the GOAT at observation in my mind, or one of them. So I like that. Very good call out, Guardian Tree. I think you're definitely right. The fact he says 3 of them and there's 3 God's Knights, that was definitely the sign there. So you're right. Appreciate that. Dreams Never Die 95 again with the $5. Appreciate you, Dreams. And by the way, just wanted to let you know, you are correct. The dreams do never die. You are absolutely correct. That is I don't know if you ever watched the redacted videos, but I always play the Blackbeard scene at the start of the video as like an intro, because one of the best scenes in the whole story, to be honest with you. But what's your take on the parallel on Sanji, Gabon, and Summers, and their different interpretation on the power of love? P.S. Digging the Blackbeard drip. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, I got this, a couple years ago at Anime NYC, if I can show it. Yeah, and we got the Yami Yami no Mi down there. It was like $10 at Anime NYC, or like 15 or something like that. And highly recommend it. Hidden Island got one at the same time as me. He got the Whitebeard one and I got the Blackbeard one, but they had all sorts of other pirates. And I'm not gonna lie, I have considered, like, I wouldn't say like starting my own clothing company, like that's insane, but I have started thinking about, like, we need people making this kind of stuff all the time. Like I mean, this little, I don't know, jacket, tunic, whatever you want to call this thing is nice. But also I've seen like baseball jerseys, hockey jerseys, football jerseys, like, but One Piece-ified. Those are awesome. Like, we need more One Piece apparel, which I know they've been doing deals with like major clothing brands, but I'm not gonna lie, like I don't really dig a lot of those. Like I'd rather get like a One Piece hockey jersey or like a One Piece basketball jersey or like this kind of little, again, I don't know what the right term is for this tunic, I don't know, whatever, this little jacket thing. Like I like these more than a lot of like the shirts and stuff they make, because a lot of them are just kind of basic. So so yeah, anyway, thank you. You guys should go to the conventions, because they do have a lot of cool clothes there. But as for my take on the parallel between Sanji, Gaban, and Summers, so I have heard this a little bit. For Summers, I think I gotta go back and reread a little bit of some of the stuff he said, because I get, he's talked about love a lot, but kind of like you're talking with like the different interpretations of love. I think I need to maybe analyze that a little bit more, because it seems like, off the top of my head, it seems like Summers is more about how love and hate are two sides of the same coin kind of thing, right? Like loving someone and hurting them sometimes is often really close. And then Sanji's kind of the complete opposite of that, where he's like, love, like, I can't remember exactly what they said in Egghead, but like love is power, or like they're like rewriting the physics books or whatever because love is so important. So it's like they're kind of on opposite sides of the spectrum. But then Gaban, I can't remember exactly what he said, but I know he said he's like the minister of love or something like that, right? So I guess I'd have to think a little bit more about some of those philosophies behind it. But Oda's definitely going for a connection between the three, I would say. And it's interesting because for Sanji and Gaban, part of their connection that's already been very evident is the observation hockey thing. And that was a big reason why I said that Scopper should be an observation hockey god, is because if he is going to be Roger's Sanji, then he should exemplify that by being really, really good at observation hockey. And I would say Rayleigh, to a degree, has already shown us that he's really good at armament. He hasn't, like, he was introduced in the pre-hockey era, so it's kind of awkward, but, holding off Kizaru and having that sword clash and even scaring Blackbeard, like, I think that does enough to show that he was a really big threat in regards to hockey, and he trained Luffy in general. But for Scopper, all this observation stuff is what I wanted because of the Sanji connection. So, in general, I think we just maybe need to see a little bit more, because now I'm wondering, is Summers going to be an observation hockey god as well? And then what does that mean for all three of these? Is there some tie we're supposed to take between love and observation hockey, which would seem weird at first, but, we've seen Sanji can hear like the cries of women from really far distances, like even further than Luffy can, and Luffy can see the future and all that stuff. So maybe what we're supposed to learn is like, if you love, then you can detect danger easier, or you're more open to detecting that or something, right? Because since Sanji loves women, he can hear the cries of women from a further distance, like that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know. I think Oda's definitely building towards something, but I think maybe we need a little more context first. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's cooking. Straw Hat Koofy with the $2 super chat. Xebec put Shanks in the chest. Shanks is saving Garp. Shanks saving Garp is an interesting idea. The reason I like that is because, for one thing, I personally, and maybe this is a hot take, maybe this is unpopular, I don't know, but I don't think Luffy should or would go after Garp and help him. And it's not because he doesn't care about Garp. It's just that you look back at Ace, he wasn't even trying to help Ace at first until he saw that Ace was set to be executed by the government and all this stuff. So even if he heard that Garp was captured, I don't necessarily think he'd be that worried about it, because also to him, Garp is like a god to Luffy, right? I mean, Garp was always beating him up when he was older, and then you also remember back in Enies Lobby, Garp was one of the first people to use hockey to actually hurt Luffy. Like, remember he punched Luffy, and Luffy's like, oh, it hurt. And they were like, what the hell? Garp has always been kind of, really, really strong to Luffy. Like, he kind of looks up to him in that way, not like, he doesn't want to be a Marine or anything like that, but he definitely has respected Garp's strength. And so I don't see him being that worried about it. But now Shanks going and saving Garp is interesting, because as for why he would want to save Garp, it might just be to help Luffy. Like, he doesn't want Luffy to lose more family or something, or I'm not really sure what he would say. But from Oda's perspective, that would just be a good way to start the Shanks and Blackbeard confrontation, right? Like that would be a pretty natural way to do it, I think. So actually, I like that. I never really thought about that. And then you said Xebec put Shanks in the chest. That's also interesting. I've heard theories something like that before, where you know, whether it's Rox or somebody, maybe like Shanks' mom or something, but somebody wanted Shanks to have like a free life, and so they snuck him in the chest as a way to get him off the island, get him away from the Celestial Dragons or something. And I like that. For Xebec, it could also be maybe he wanted Shanks to work for him or something, and that was his plan. I like that as well. But the idea that I've always liked, which Xebec could apply to this as well, but I've always really liked the idea that somebody with the Op fruit did it. And you know, I don't really have a good theory onto who would have had the fruit and why they would have used it and done that or whatever, but I've always liked the idea because it just fits, it just connects the dots really well that someone just like shambled Shanks into there. And maybe it's because they wanted the fruit that was in there. Maybe the fruit that was in the chest was really important, and they just saw this baby and were like, whatever, we'll just flip those, and like they didn't care, and then that's just, you know, how Shanks got out. I don't know. But interesting idea nonetheless. It would, because we also know that, well, if we presume the treasure that the Celestial Dragons stole were the fruits in those treasure chests, which is what I think it definitely is. Like the Celestial Dragons went to Hachinosu, took all the fruits, took it to God Valley, made it the prizes, and then the Rox Pirates went back to get their fruits back. That's pretty much what I think happened. And if that's true, then we know that you know, Xebec was already going for like those treasure chests, quote unquote, and like trying to take all that treasure. And so that also maybe gives us a little bit of an idea of like, you know, Xebec maybe did put a baby in one of the chests because he was planning on taking all of the chests himself anyway, because like those were his treasure, and maybe he did do that. And he may have wanted, you know, Shanks to be like his protege in a way, which would be really interesting, because if Xebec originally wanted Shanks as his protege, but then he ended up with Roger, so instead of like Shanks being a holy knight, which would have been bad on its own, he almost became like an evil pirate, but instead became a good pirate, became Xebec's, you know, the apprentice of Xebec's arch nemesis. I think that would be cool too. I don't know. There's a lot of cool things Oda could be doing with God Valley, I think, honestly. All right, Lucky Beetle. This is the last super chat, I believe, for the day. For $5. Appreciate you, Lucky Beetle. That was Rox D. Xebec, definitely Loki was talking to. What got you interested in One Piece? Wait, hold on. That was Rox that Loki was talking to. What got you interested in One Piece? Oh, that's right. See, this is so funny, because I know you guys love packing these chats, you know, with a lot of ideas. And I was reading this like, okay, is that what he's doing? And then I remembered, no, Lucky Beetle is the king of putting together multiple ideas in one super chat. I remember from like a couple weeks ago you did that. Now that I've connected the dots, now I know how to read this properly. All right, that was Rox D. Xebec that Loki was talking to. Definitely agree with that, 100%. What got you interested in One Piece? What got me interested? Honestly, I don't really have a great like one answer thing. Basically, I had watched One Piece a little bit when I was younger, back when it was on like Toonami, and the only thing I remembered, well, there's two things I remembered. I remembered I really wanted to see the Grand Line. That was like, my roommate at the time was fully caught up on One Piece, and I like knew nothing about it. And I remember telling him, like, all I remember is the Grand Line. And I was like, have we been to the Grand Line yet? And he's like, oh yeah. This was back in like 2018, right? So we're well into the new world and stuff. He's like, oh yeah, no, we made it to the Grand Line. I'm like, dude, that's all I remember, is that guy just kept bringing up the Grand Line. That's all he would say, is that they're going to go to the Grand Line next. And I just kept waiting for it. And then he told me it's not done yet. And I was like, wait, you're telling me that show, the story is still going on? And long story short, he was like, hey, I'll rewatch it with you even though I'm caught up. And so we rewatched, well, I watched it for the first time, but he rewatched it with me. And that's pretty much how it started. My roommate just kind of mentioned it, and I was like, wait, it's what? It's still going on? All right, let's give it a shot. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got into it. And also, I said earlier there was two things I remembered from when I was a kid. One was the Grand Line thing. The other was, all I remembered was that there was a snowy island. And I was like, hey, I know we go to a snowy place, right? And that ended up being Drum Island. And so yeah, those little bits of interest just made me want to watch it just to get caught up. And then as for what kind of hooked me once I got started, I don't even know, but like I was fully into it. Like the first episode, it felt like I was 100% engaged the entire time I watched it. The only thing in my watch through that kind of slowed me down a little bit was Amazon Lily, which is probably my least favorite arc, which I know to some people is kind of blasphemous, but between Boa kicking the puppies and the kittens, and also me, I also watched Amazon Lily at my mom's house because trying to think of what I was doing. I think that was like I was on like summer break from college or something like that, or winter break. I can't remember, but I was at my mom's house at the time. Like I was just staying there for like a week. And I remember I was watching it then, and I felt really weird having the Island of Women arc when like my mom would come in, and like she doesn't know anything about anime, and not that she would say anything, but like, you know, like the women in One Piece are not proportioned very well, and I'm just like, you know, I don't want my mom just seeing all these girls, you know, on screen. She's just gonna think it's so weird. So in general, Amazon Lily was a slow moment for me, but other than that, I was like fully on board in One Piece from the day I started. So that's pretty much my story. Then you said, why hasn't Loki mentioned Lola marriage proposal? I'm waiting for that. That is one of the number one things that I want out of Elbaf. My number one is Nolan hype. That's far and beyond my number one thing. But right after that, closely behind, is Lola marriage stuff. I would need to know why Lola turned him down when Lola wanted to marry everyone else, right? Like, Oda is such a genius for setting it up that way. You know, we go to Thriller Bark. Again, talking about the Thriller Bark connections, by the way. Who was it? Who said it earlier? Was it Dreams? I can't remember who said it earlier. Oh yeah, it was Dreams Never Die. Another Thriller Bark parallel, by the way, Dreams, is we met Lola that arc, which, by the way, Lola's epithet is marriage proposal Lola, which is just hilarious. But we met her that arc, and we saw her trying to marry everyone. We had the Absalom marriage thing, all that kind of stuff. And now we're here with Loki. So again, another Thriller Bark parallel, except the opposite is that this is the one person she wouldn't marry. If she's willing to marry a freak like Absalom, but won't marry Loki, something crazy's going on, right? So Oda's saving that for a big reveal in my mind. I think that's a huge deal. It might be a meme, like it's probably gonna be like a gag, like a pretty funny thing. It might be still semi-serious in its own way, where like we will laugh at it, but it'll have important implications. Like maybe Loki's eyes are really weird, and maybe they're like Doflamingo eyes, and that's why we haven't seen either of their eyes yet, and maybe that's why Lola turned him down. I don't know. I'm just picking random stuff. Whatever it is, it could be funny, but also important. So that's why we haven't seen it, in my mind. And then you also said Luffy will marry Nami. That I do not think will happen. I know a lot of people are on that boat, though. So if you're on that boat, I'm not trying to sink it for you, but I think Luffy and Boa are pretty much locked, personally. And then I think Nami, while Nami could marry anyone she wanted, including me, if she wanted to, I do think Nami will go on to be like Mother Carmel and have her own orphanage because she's such a good mom. And I think that would, because I don't think Oda's a big shipper in general. I don't think he really wants the Straw Hats to be together. Obviously, after the series ends, it's a little bit of a different convo, because then it's not like, because like if he starts a relationship now, then he has to like have those relationship moments during the story, and that's just not his thing. At the end of the story, it's a little bit easier, because then he can just be like, yep, they married. All right, cool. I never have to talk about it again, right? Like I think that's a little bit easier for him, so I could see it. But generally, I don't think he'll have the Straw Hats end up together, because I don't know. I mean, they're nakama. It's just they're friends. They're helping each other with their dreams and stuff. I don't think he wants to like muddy the waters and have them get together. That's just my 2 cents on it. But like I said, don't let that sink your ship. If you're shipping that ship, you go ahead and you do it. We'll see by the end if that does come to fruition. Lucky Beetle, you said you too, just like for Neverworld. Hey, I appreciate it. I haven't watched him in a long time, but I used to watch him all the time. I was a big fan of him back in the day. I just don't watch any anime content in general anymore. The only anime content I really watch anymore is when I'm preparing for a video. So like with this Gunko video that I'm doing this week, I watched all those videos. I watched Morges, I watched Grand Line reviews, I watched Tekkings, I watched Luna PN Arts, I watched all these Gunko videos because I'm like, all right, let me make sure I know what their takes are. I want to make sure I'm not just regurgitating the same things you've heard 100 times and all that kind of stuff. So maybe I need to get back into it a little bit more. He said the exact same thing. Luffy will marry Boa. Yeah, I think that's where Oda's going with it, because, you know, and I don't think it'll happen in the story, by the way. I don't think Oda's ever gonna like spend time on it, but I do think it'll be a future thing. And I mean, on one angle, it's already kind of set up, right, with Boa loving Luffy so much. Then from the other angle, she's the pirate empress and the pirate king marrying the pirate empress. I just think Oda has kind of set that up. And then also, you know, Luffy is not the kind of guy to like have those kind of emotions, but Boa has them so strongly for Luffy that if Oda has them together, it's not like he has to change Luffy, right? I think that's really the big thing for me, why I think he'll marry Boa, is like Luffy can keep being Luffy unapologetically if they're together. But like if he's going to marry Nami, it's like both of them have to kind of change the way they are a little bit. Like they're going to have to greatly change the way they treat each other. Like we're going to have to see a pretty sudden shift in Luffy being kind of more romantic and Nami feeling that way towards Luffy. And that's just a pretty big divergence from how they normally are. But like Oda could literally keep Boa the same way she is and Luffy the same way she is and have them marry, and it would be fine and nobody is any different, right? Like Luffy just won't care what she's talking about. Like I'm sure he'll be like a loyal husband or whatever, but you know, he could still just go on his ventures, just do whatever, and Boa can just sit there and, you know, love Luffy all the time, and that, you know, he doesn't have to change anything. So that, I think that's the easiest answer. Kanu, you said, which one was your favorite out of the Gunko theories? You mean other than mine? Which I mean, we got 100-something people here. So my theory on it, which I won't go into full detail because that's what the video is for, but I do agree with the koala connection theory. And I know this is something that people have brought up in other videos, but nobody has done a full dedicated video on it, at least that I've seen from any of the big creators. I've looked around. I've literally Googled koala Gunko, gone on YouTube, done that. I haven't seen a dedicated one. And I go through the different possibilities of sister, twin, acquaintance, whatever. And honestly, whatever their direct connection is, it's not that important. It's the parallels that he's setting up with Gunko and what her past could be. And again, I don't want to go through all of the layers of that, but I will say, you know, Gunko was said to be really stoic. Like she didn't react to anything. Remember, like even Summers like fell out of his chair because she wasn't really reacting to the things he was saying or whatever. And also Koala was very similar whenever we met Koala. She had like no emotion. Well, she had one emotion. She would not change no matter what was happening in front of her, right? She was told to just smile and keep that same emotion. It was really off-putting. And I think that's a very important parallel. So regardless, that's my favorite one. I have a lot more to build off of that. So if definitely keep an eye out for that video. As for the other ones, though, as for the non-koala ones, if it ends up not being a koala thing at all, then so let's see. Morge had the clone. Grand Line Review had the spy. Grand Line Review went through it. Grand Line Review also mentioned the koala thing for like 20 seconds and then moved on to the spy thing. Which I was happy about because I was like Liam, please don't, please stop so I can do the whole video. And he didn't go into like anything I'm going to be talking about, so it was very different. But he brought up the spy one, and then Luna PN Art I think mentioned, and I think Tekking also mentioned the spy, and then Luna PN Art mentioned, he had a couple different ones. I think GLR also talked about Gunko tying to Emu. But Luna PN Art talked about Gunko maybe tying to Impel Down in some way. So there's a lot of good theories on it, honestly. As for what my favorite one was, I would say the Revolutionary Spy by default. I don't want to completely dunk on any of those theories because I have been wrong many times and I could be wrong here for all I know. But I will say the clone one, I really don't like. I'm praying Oda doesn't do the clone one where the theory I think was that Gunko is a clone of Ginny, and I really hope that's not the case because, you know, I get why Oda I mean, it's really sad and disgusting, but I get why Oda had the Ginny situation happen. It being sad and disgusting makes us feel for Bonnie's backstory more, hate the Celestial Dragons more, right? All that kind of stuff is really important. I get why he did that. But if you make Gunko a clone of Ginny, and if we presume that Shamrock is Bonnie's biological dad, then what you're saying is that Shamrock appeared in Elbaf with a clone of his dead slave wife, and that Bonnie's going to have to come to the realization eventually that this woman in front of her is a clone of her slave, of her mom who was a slave wife, and now that person's also still a slave. Like, you know, Bonnie's been through a lot, and I don't think we have to add that sprinkle of terror on top of it. It's like it doesn't do anything to make it, like, it's already bad, and I don't need it to be any worse for Bonnie, is how I feel. Like it's not like I already feel a lot for Bonnie. I want Bonnie to be happy. I don't want Bonnie to suffer anymore. If Bonnie not only has to find out that Shamrock is her biological dad and, you know, her mom was, you know, misused in that way, like, that's already bad enough to be revealed for Bonnie. We don't need any more. Like, any more is just going to feel like we're just piling it on for no reason. So I really don't want Ginny's clone to be Gunko. I just think that that gets, like, so dark and twisted so quick. And for Shamrock, I think I said this, but just to emphasize, for Shamrock to appear at the start of the arc with his dead slave wife's clone next to him, it's just a little bit too much. It's a little bit of too much of a departure from Oda's usual way of doing things for me. So that's where I'm at. I don't want that one to happen a lot. So I would default to the revolutionary spy part. I get why people say that one. But I also think that is, I don't want the God's Knights to be spies. Like if we end up befriending Gunko and she becomes like a secret ally in the God's Knights, that's one thing. Because like we as the Straw Hat crew kind of went and made that happen, right? And Luffy obviously is a big, you know, he always frees people and helps people, whatever. So I like that. But if there's been a secret revolutionary in the God's Knights this whole time, I don't know. Like then I'm just like, yo, government, you got traitors everywhere, man. Like you can't keep tabs on anyone. Like every single group you got Kizaru helping Luffy, which that on its own, you know, is kind of small. But even before Kizaru, you go back to Kuzan. Kuzan was helping like Robin escape and stuff, which is good. That's a good thing. But just from a writing perspective, I'm like, all right, can we stop having traitors in the government constantly? Like I just want, you know, I want at least one group to be what they say they are. So again, that might just be me, you know. Again, I'm not trying to sink that ship. I could be wrong. It's definitely possible, but that's where I'm at on it. I got a couple more super chats to get through, and then I am going to get out of here because we are approaching 2 hours, which that was the quickest 2 hours of my life. Oh, hold on. I just saw this in the chat. I see people bringing up Sindri in the chat. That's also a great tie-in. I actually have been thinking about bringing up Sindri. You know, you think about with Gunko here, and maybe that's what you're talking about, Jozu. I haven't read every chat you put, so sorry if I'm regurgitating. But with Sindri, you know, part of her thing was like she had to work against her will, even though her will, you know, she wanted to do something else. And by the end of that arc, she was able to go against her orders or whatever. And part of me wonders if that's kind of what Gunko's going to do, where we are going to free Gunko like, you know, we freed Sindri in Thriller Bark, or even like how we freed Koala. Well, we didn't, but the Sun Pirates did. Because if you remember, Koala was like, you know, very stoic, I guess. It's a little bit a weird way of stoicness, but whatever. And remember, then they're like, you know, you don't have to be a slave. You can cry. You can do whatever. And then she started crying and started acting normal again. Like she kind of broke. She was kind of broken to be the slave that she was, but then she was broken back to being allowed to be normal. I think that idea with Sindri is going to be the same thing with Gunko. You know what? I might even throw that in the video. Dilcor, I don't know if you're watching, but he said that he can edit everything I've done. I will edit the Sindri section myself because I think I might go ahead and add that because right now the Gunko video is only like 16 minutes, which is really short for me. I usually try to hit at least 20 minutes every video. And I don't try to force it if I don't have, you know, I'm not just gonna put useless stuff to fill in the time, but that Sindri connection is a really good idea. So I might add that and try to get it closer to 17 or 18 minutes. But all right, last couple super chats. Then I'm gonna go because I gotta go pre-order the anime collection boxes from my local card store. I gotta go. I gotta go stop at the Botanist. If you know who the Botanist is, then you know. If you know, you know. It's not it. I also love that it's called the Botanist because you know, I'm a Nolan fan, so that's why I go to the Botanist. If you know, you know. If you're in the Midwest, you know what the Botanist is. And then I also got to go make a couple other errands, so I do have to get out of here kind of soon. So I'm going to read these last couple super chats here. Dreams Never Die again with the $5. Appreciate you, my man. Loki insulted Harudine for having tainted giant blood, but now trying to get with Lola. That's interesting because Lola obviously is not a giant of any kind. So that's actually a really... I can't believe I've never even made that connection. That's crazy. That is crazy. Granted, he was a kid, but Oda probably added that for a reason. Yeah, that's actually... That's something I'm going to be thinking about a lot. This whole marriage thing I'm going to be thinking about a lot. Sometimes you guys leave me with like some tidbits to think about, and then when I go do my errands or I go mow the lawn or whatever I'm doing, I think about these things, and then sometimes a random theory will just pop into my head after thinking about it, and that's exactly what this is, because Oda's leading to something there, because you're right, because like Loki didn't want, you know, mixed blood races or whatever, or he made fun of Harudine for it, and he's kind of the pride of, I should say the pride of Elbaf, but he's kind of like the pride of Harold because he was pure-blooded or whatever. But then he's trying to marry Lola, and it's like, hey, dude, like, what's going on? And we were told that Loki fell in love at first sight with Lola, and so I think part of the lesson there is that, like, Loki got a lesson from, in terms of love, like, and going back to the Summer, Sanji, and Scopper thing, that, you know, sometimes you just love someone and that's more important than all these other things, like the bloodlines, the familial stuff, the heritage of Elbaf, like all that. Like, I think he kind of learned, like, once you love someone, all that stuff doesn't matter anymore. You know, like love is number one. And so that's a really, really interesting thing, Dreams. I really like that call out. When Lola pops up, that's got to be the point, right? I wonder where that's going to go. I really wonder. And that could be part of what, maybe why Lola didn't like Loki. Like, not necessarily the mixed blood stuff in general, but maybe the way Loki viewed love wasn't great. I'm not sure. That's a great call out, Dream. Seriously. K Raven with the $5 super chat. I think Gunko is afraid of Nika due to his power to change hostile souls allyship. I think Mihawk's mention of this is major in the endgame. Great call out. Let me get a sip of water real quick. Oh, I could feel the hiccups coming, which, you know, happens, or hiccups or the burps. You know, if you guys have been around, once we hit the 2-hour mark, I can't help it. So water, put it back a little bit, so I should be all right. But I like what you're saying here, because it could be that Gunko is afraid of Nika because when Nika comes around, Nika gets people to join Nika's side. Like that's the thing with Nika is, it's not just him himself, it's that Gunko knows when Nika comes around, everyone joins the same side, and everyone goes against the government, because the government's bad, and Nika's never going to align with them. So Gunko knows inherently, when Nika is around, everyone else is against us, kind of thing. So I like that. And I do agree that Mihawk's mention of it's really important. I hope Mihawk appears in this arc. You know, I mentioned the Cross Guild could pull up. I'm still hoping for that, but we'll see. I think Mihawk cutting down the Atom Tree would be really cool. I don't know if that will actually happen, but it would be cool. And yeah, so as for Nika, you know, I like what you're saying, and the idea that I propose in my video is kind of similar. I guess I propose a couple different ideas, but I think it could be that, you know, Gunko is so brainwashed into being a God's Knight or being a government official or whatever at this point that they're just forced to kind of drink the Kool-Aid, where it's like, you know, I could see Saturn, or not, maybe not Saturn now that he's dead, but I could see the Gorosei like giving the God's Knights a test over like making sure that their belief structure is what they need it to be, that Nika is the worst, that the government's the best, whatever. And I could see it just being as simple as that, like she was just forced into believing this. But I could also agree with kind of what you're saying here, where it's kind of like, well, it's a little bit different. Like, what if Gunko was a slave but didn't get saved, right? So she was in Marijois and maybe Fisher Tiger came. Everyone got saved except for Gunko. And so maybe now she has come to hate Nika, kind of similar to what you're saying, because she has seen that Nika can save everybody. And so she, knows that is a possibility. She was almost saved, but she wasn't. And so maybe she fears Nika now because it's kind of like a why not me kind of thing. Like, Nika saved all these people, but Nika chose not to save me, and now I'm suffering. So Nika's my greatest fear because I hate that guy. Like, that guy brings terror for me because he doesn't save me, right? Like, that's my experience, is Nika isn't here. Like, Nika might go make everyone an ally, but not me. Like, maybe she's also thinking Nika picks and chooses who they save, and therefore I hate Nika, or that's my greatest fear because I know he's not going to save me, right? That kind of thing. I think that could be really powerful. And going back to the koala thing, I don't think it's a coincidence that Koala's saviors are the sun pirates and Gunko's fear is the sun god, right? I think there's a reason that Koala was saved by specifically the sun pirates, and now the fear for Gunko is the sun god. It's there, to me, Oda is absolutely drip feeding this parallel, and yeah, I think, you think about Koala being the only human to have the celestial dragon mark covered by the sun pirate logo, and now we know that Gunko has a mark on her body, or we can presume that. I guess we haven't actually seen it, but the mark of the abyss, we know that you need that in order to use the circles. So we know that Gunko also has a symbol, and so I'm just wondering, like, maybe by the end of the arc, like, the Straw Hats cover that one up, like the sun pirates covered up Koala's, and then maybe Gunko is kind of freed from Emu. I don't, we'll see how that works. But yeah, K Raven, I think you're cooking. That was a really long-winded way of saying you're cooking. I think I took like over 5 minutes answering that one thing. My bad, but I like where you're at. All right, last super chat for the day. Vasil Vlad Ivanovici with the £5 super chat. Thank you again. Not my theory. Elbaf is the ancient kingdom. The Harley text was using the same alphabet as the poneglyphs. So the Elbaf is the ancient kingdom part is very interesting. The second part, the Harley text was using the same alphabet as the poneglyphs. I love that at first, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case because the Giants read the Harley text before Robin came, right? Like, it's not like... Because they knew some of the stuff, because before we saw the mural, they, like, referenced some of it. I think they said, like... like the Giants, each of them interpret it differently or whatever. And so the fact that they could read it would make me think it's not in that language, because then they couldn't read it. I could be wrong, but that's kind of my interpretation of it. And you also would imagine that Robin would make a comment on it. Like, if Robin pulls up this book, she's like, oh, it's written in the ancient language. Wow. But she didn't. So I doubt that's the case, but I could be wrong. Now, Elbaf is the ancient kingdom part I like. Now, I don't know if it would just be the ancient kingdom period and it's the end of it, because I would assume the ancient kingdom is kind of expansive, like probably like a giant continent. That's kind of what we were told anyway, I think, right? Like the continents sunk under the sea because of the flood and all that kind of stuff, right? So I definitely could agree that Elbaf was part of the ancient kingdom. Maybe even Elbaf was like the top of like a mountain in the ancient kingdom or something like that, right? Like maybe because if the ancient kingdom is under the sea, it was obviously a lot lower than Elbaf is right now. Elbaf seems to be like at a high point. So I could almost see like the mountains, quote unquote, of the ancient kingdom being the island of Elbaf, which would fit into the theme of Elbaf being like kind of prehistoric, or like there's like a bunch of crazy animals that nobody's seen. Because, like, if you go out, like, into the wilderness, into the mountains or whatever, like, you're going to see a lot of really dangerous creatures that you would have never seen, like, in real life. It's kind of the same idea. I mean, obviously, we know that they exist now because we've documented them, but if you personally walk up there, you're going to see a lot of crazy stuff. There's You're gonna see like eagles grabbing goats and dropping them off of a cliff, which is like so sad. It's kind of gnarly, you know. I mean, it's real savage, but they do that. They will go and drop goats from real high. They do the same to turtles, which, come on, we ain't gotta do that to the turtles. They'll drop them on their shell from really high heights, so the turtle shell breaks. Super sad. But anyway, you see some crazy wildlife shenanigans when you go out into the mountains. Is my point? Out into the wilderness, all right? And it kind of feels like that's what Elbaf is here. We see a lot of like crazy creatures that are really dangerous. And we were also told like this was the the animals have been living here for thousands of years. So maybe that's what it is. You know, this is just the tip of this is like Mount Everest of the ancient kingdom. I could see something like that for sure. And it's also really snowy here. So that lines up too. So yeah, I think you're right. I know you said not my theory, but I still think you're cooking, Vlad. But all right, guys. Oh, and also K-Step, you said monkeys do that to humans too. Baby's so sad. So K-Step, I want to mention this because you brought that up. And I think we talked about this on stream before. In the Rugrats movie, was it this stream or was it this channel or was I on someone else's channel? I can't remember. But in the Rugrats movie, do you guys remember when Dill is Dill and Tommy are like in the forest and the monkeys are like debating Tommy is debating pouring the crushed bananas onto Dill because in his mind, and if he puts the bananas onto Dill, then the monkeys will take Dill away. But then he decides not to because he loves his brother or whatever. Super, super dark moment in Rugrats, right? Like Tommy was literally about to have his baby brother get taken by the monkeys in the forest. Crazy, crazy, crazy moment. That is such... It's one of those moments where as a kid, I don't think I really picked up on how dark that was, but as an adult, I'm like, oh my God. Like for a kid's Nickelodeon movie, we got babies trying to give babies away to monkeys. Oh my God, that is crazy. K-Step, you said, I've never seen it. I'll check it out. It is an A+ movie. At least in my mind, there's multiple Rugrats movies, but the one I'm talking about, can't remember the name of it. I think it's the first one. Because I know there's the Paris one. It's not that one. It's the other one. But regardless, yeah, it's great movie. Great movie. But you can just look up the banana scene. Just look up Tommy Pickles banana movie, and you'll find it on YouTube. Crazy, crazy overall moment. Crazy. Duran Ross, of course I remember the Rugrats movie. Who Let the Dogs Out? So peak, dude. Oh, honestly, all Rugrats in general, in my mind, is one of the best media franchises in terms of like they nailed their movies. The All Grown Up thing was great. Now it ended up not being the best ever, but I just thought from their perspective of like, for one thing, you have a show about babies done really, really well. Movies done really well, even tying to their babies. Because like Chucky, remember when Chucky runs to the altar and says no when like his dad is getting remarried or whatever? I can't remember the exact situation. But they were just such good movies. And then the All Grown Up thing, it just like that felt like such a natural progression. Just such a great franchise. So good. Emu is Cynthia Pickles. I have never seen anything as true as that statement. That is so true. Yeah, and also another thing about Rugrats, which was really impactful, is like, oh man, I can't remember the exact dialogue, but Tommy was a premature baby, and he talks about how the first weeks of his life he was in like a plastic box, but he felt safe because his mom was there, something like that. That was like very touching, to like give a little bit of a perspective of a baby who would be like a preemie like that. I just think that is so it was such a good series. Honestly, I could talk about Nickelodeon for days. So good. But all right, guys, that's about it. I'm about to head out. I gotta go do those errands. I gotta go all those things I said earlier. I can't even remember them because the list is so long. But appreciate you guys for being here. Seriously, this was amazing. I know we're on a break next week, so you can definitely count on a redacted video. I'm trying to get 2 of them together. I wanted to have 2 last week. Paul and I were going to do 2 videos back to back, but we took too long on the first one, so keep an eye out for that. Definitely a couple redacted videos coming. I will be on Sai's channel sometime soon. I don't know when that'll get posted or anything, but I know we're working on that soon. Gunko video this weekend. And I can't remember what else, but go Cavs. We'll say that. NBA playoffs right around the corner. Doron, I know you're in the chat. Austin Reeves is a free throw merchant. I watched part of the game last night. I saw Austin Reeves get a couple bad foul calls, and calls in his favor, and I was like, I'm out. I can't watch this. The Lakers did end up losing though, so that's what we like to see. That's what at least on this channel. Most channels are probably the opposite. They probably prefer when the Lakers win, but you know, we'll see. If the Lakers want to make it to the finals though and play the Cavs, I'm all for that because look, we got the Lakers number. But the Lakers might beat the Thunder for us, which I would appreciate because the Thunder are amazing. So, Doron, I don't know if you saw, but on LeBron's new podcast, or well, it's his old podcast, but the new version of it. He was talking about how the team is structured. He's like, well, you know, me and Luka, we take the top 2 defenders every possession, and there's normally not a third defender that's good enough to guard Austin Reeves. And I was just kind of laughing because I'm like, look, I know Austin's solid. LeBron, you're the GOAT. I'm not going to question your basketball knowledge, but I'm just saying if you're trying to win the finals and you're saying that Austin Reeves is the, you know, is going to lead you there, more power to you. More power to you. I'll take the core 4 in Cleveland. That's what I'll say. Let's go LeBron and Nepo LeBron. Hey, Coob. Hey, I appreciate that. Because that is the case. Bronny's a little fraudulent. Bronny's a little bit fraudulent. I'm gonna be honest. Although he did have a good game like a week ago. He had I don't know. I think he had 10 points or something, which was cool. But Bronny's a little fraudulent, though. Little fraudulent. Dexter, I never really followed sports, but yeah, let's go those guys. Yeah, Dexter, you want to support the Cleveland Cavaliers, my friend. We play ethical basketball. Also, I don't know if anybody saw the Jarrett Allen "Let Him Meow" meme. The little him at the press conference thing, and he had a shirt that said "Let Him Meow" because the Cavs slogan is "Let 'em know," but somebody made a "Let 'em Meow" one because Jarrett Allen has a couple cats. If you like good vibes in basketball, then you got to support the Cleveland Cavaliers. Dak should get a pet whale named Laboo. If they ever make mini whales that I can keep in my like a fish tank, I will get one and name it Laboo. Absolutely. Nick, you said go Blue Jackets. Yeah, go Blue Jackets. I have not watched any Blue Jackets games, but regardless, go Blue Jackets for sure. You got to trust LeBron with Bronny. Hey, I trust LeBron, you know, like in terms of taking care of his son. I trust LeBron with Bronny in that sense. I'm sure he's a great dad, but I can't trust Bronny on his own in the NBA. You know, I'm confident that Bronny will always have a roster spot as long as LeBron is also on the roster, but I don't know if Bronny is good enough to do that otherwise. Nick, you said, bro, the Jackets are in a crazy playoff race right now. I'm going to look this up, and then I'm actually going to leave, because I know I said I was already going to leave, but then we got on Sports Talk. And if you guys ever want to keep me around longer than I said, Sports Talk is definitely the way you do that. How do I find... Have the playoffs started? I don't know how to... Are we trying to, like, get into the playoffs? Is that what you're saying? Okay, yeah, so we're trying to get into the playoffs, it looks like. Well, come on, Blue Jackets. Okay, yeah, so we have another week or 2 left to go. Got it. Well, go Blue Jackets. I don't know much about hockey, to be honest, but I know way more about H-A-K-I hockey than I do H-O-C-K-E-Y hockey. And Eustace Kidd is the opposite. Eustace Kidd knows more about... NHL hockey than he does H-A-K-I. He actually knows nothing about the H-A-K-I hockey, I'll tell you that. The Cavs, C-A-L-V-E-S, that's hilarious. I trust LeBron's DNA, that's wild. Hey, all I'm saying is Michael Jordan's son was ass at basketball, so, you know. All right, I'm actually getting out of here this time, though. For real. Appreciate you guys. I might do another stream in the next week or so. I can't commit to that. I want to do gaming streams more than anything. So hopefully we'll be playing. I was playing Rivals recently, so I just got to get on stream. But all right,